sleep with 12 wealthy men. Switch their protection with this. Their seed will not bring children. It will activate your destiny. Their fall will be your rise.
What kind of fall?
That is not your concern. But know this, Ireiti. Until you return the 12 used condoms and threads to me,
The contract is not complete.
I knew the first man was going to die the moment he unbuckled his belt. It wasn't a guess. It was the weight of the black pouch in my handbag, heavy as a stone, vibrating against my thigh. The local government chairman, a man whose potbelly pushed against his white agbada like dough rising in a hot oven, grinned at me. He didn't see me. He saw the hips. He saw the thighs that the village women in Ireiti were all jealous of. He saw a good time. He didn't know he was looking at his own funeral. "Baby, why are you shaking?" he asked, his voice thick with the smell of stout and pepper soup. "You never see big man before." I forced a smile. The kind of smile I used to give customers when I sold roasted corn by the roadside, back when my hands were permanently stained with charcoal and my clothes smelt of smoke. "No be fear, Daddy," I whispered, my hand sliding into my bag. "My buddy sweetie me." I wasn't trembling because of him. I was trembling because of what I had to do. 12 condoms. 12 lives. This was number one. 2 weeks ago, I was nobody. Actually, I was worse than nobody. In Ireiti, I was a mistake. They said God molded me on a Friday afternoon when he was rushing to close for the weekend. My body was a confusion. Hips too wide for my frame, a waist that snapped in abruptly, and a backside that made passerbys stop, not to admire, but to argue. "See as she be like clay figure we dem forget to finish," Mama Nkechi would say loudly from her vegetable stall. "If man climbed this one, he go break." I sat under the shriveled mango tree, finding the dying embers of my coal pot. The smoke burned my eyes, but hunger burned my stomach more. "Corn is 50 naira," I told a customer, a young mechanic wiping grease on a rag. He looked me up and down, his eyes lingering on the strange curvature of my spine. He laughed, a cruel, dry sound. "With this your shape, if you give me free, I no go take." He walked away. The insults I could take. I had eaten insults for breakfast since I was 12. But that evening, when I went back to my room, a zinc-roofed shock that rattled when the wind blew, I checked my savings tin. Empty. Just like my stomach. I lay on my raffia mat, staring at the rusty nail in the wood, and I made a choice. I didn't want to be good anymore. I wanted to be a baddie. I wanted the wigs. I wanted the soft life I saw on Instagram, where girls with skin like milk held champagne flutes in Dubai. If God would not answer me, maybe the devil was taking applications. The path to Baba Ruji's shrine smelled of wet earth and rotten lizards. It was a 3-hour walk through the bush path where the cassava leaves cut my legs. When I arrived, the air changed. It became heavy. Baba Ruji sat on a goatskin, his face dusted with white chalk. He didn't look up when I entered. He was threading cowries onto a string, his fingers moving with the speed of a spider. "You have suffered," he said. His voice sounded like grinding stones. I fell to my knees. "Baba, I am tired. I want to be rich. I want them to bow." He finally looked up. His eyes were milky, rimmed with red. He reached behind him and pulled out a small black velvet pouch. He tossed it to me. It landed on the dirt floor with a soft thud. 12, he said. I opened it. Inside were 12 condoms, but they were wrong. They felt warm to the touch, and each one was tied at the base with a thin red thread that seemed to pulse. "Sleep with 12 wealthy men," Baba whispered. "Switch their protection with this. Their seed will not bring children. It will activate your destiny. Their fall will be your rise." "What kind of fall?" I asked, my voice trembling. Baba smiled, revealing black teeth. "That is not your concern. But know this, Ireiti. Until you return the 12 used threads to me, the contract is not complete. You stop halfway, you die." Back in
in the hotel room in Ibadan, the chairman was impatient. Oya now, he grunted, reaching for the bedside drawer. He pulled out a packet. Durex. Wait, I said, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Let me do it. I like to be in control. He laughed, tossing the packet to me. I like women way get fire. I turned away from him, pretending to struggle with the wrapper with my teeth. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it. In the shadow of my body, I reached into the pouch. I pulled out the first condom. The red thread seemed to glow in the dim light of the hotel room. I made the switch. When I turned back to him, I was smiling. But inside, I was screaming. It was quick. Grunting, sweating, heavy. He didn't notice the texture was different. He didn't notice the faint smell of sulfur that filled the room the moment he entered me. When he finished, he rolled off, panting. You are sweetal, he muttered, closing his eyes. I will give you contract for contract, you hear? Yes, Daddy, I whispered. I went to the bathroom. I retrieved the condom. It was heavy now, heavier than it should be. The fluid inside wasn't white. It was gold, liquid, swirling gold. I tied the red thread tight and put it back in the pouch. I dressed quickly. Daddy, I'm going, I called out. No answer. Daddy? I walked back to the bed. The chairman was lying on his back. His eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling fan, but they were empty.
Suddenly, his mouth opened. Woof! I froze. He backed again, louder, a wet, guttural sound that didn't belong to a human throat. Woof! Woof! He began to thrash on the bed, his hands clawing at his throat, his legs kicking the air like a dying dog. Foam, white and thick, bubbled at the corners of his mouth. I didn't wait to check his pulse. I grabbed my bag and ran. I ran past the sleeping receptionist. I ran out into the Ibadan night, where the Okada riders were arguing over change. I didn't stop running until I found a dark corner behind a kiosk. I leaned against the wall, gasping for air. I clutched the bag to my chest. I felt it then, a warmth spreading through my body. My skin tingled. The ache in my back from years of bending over the core gut vanished. I looked at my hands in the moonlight. The charcoal stains were gone. My nails were long, manicured, painted a deep blood red. I laughed, a shaky, terrifying sound. It worked.
The air grew cold, unnaturally cold for a Ibadan night. I looked across the street. Under the flickering streetlight, a dog was sitting, watching me. It wasn't a local dog. It was huge, black, with eyes that glowed human white. It opened its mouth, and I heard the chairman's voice whisper from its throat. 1. The money didn't come in a briefcase. It came as a vibration. Ding! I looked at my phone. A credit alert. 3 million naira. Ding! 5 million. Ding! 2 million. It was 2 days after the chairman died, barking like a dog. I was in a boutique in Lekki, staring at a pair of red-bottom heels I used to see only on Pinterest. The sales girl, a girl with a nose pointed so high she could drown in rain, had ignored me when I walked in. But when my phone started singing that beautiful song, her neck snapped toward me. Madame, she said, her voice dripping with sudden respect, that dress will fit your unique shape perfectly. I bought the dress. I bought the shoes.
I bought the respect. I looked in the mirror. The girl who sold roasted corn was dead. Her charcoal-stained fingers were gone, replaced by acrylics embedded with Swarovski crystals. My skin, once dry and smelling of smoke, now glowed like polished mahogany. My hips, the ones they laughed at in the village, were no longer a joke. They were a weapon. I was no longer Ireiti. I was Rhea Blaze. The second man was a hotel owner in Victoria Island. I met him at the bar of his own hotel. He didn't stand a chance. My body, that clay figure chaos, drew him in like a moth to a kerosene lamp. We went upstairs. I played the shy village girl again. It was too easy. I switched the condom. The red thread pulsed against my palm. The next morning, his face was plastered on the blogs. Instablog Ninja carried the headline, Lagos big boy loses 500 million to crypto scam overnight. He didn't just lose money. He lost his mind. They found him at the reception of his hotel, naked, trying to pay guests with pebbles he had picked up from the driveway. The third man developed a skin disease 3 hours after I left his bed. Boils, the size of tennis balls, erupted all over his face. No doctor could explain it. The 4th, the 5th, the 6th. I became a regular at the most expensive clubs. I slapped a bouncer at Quilox for looking at me the wrong way. And instead of throwing me out, the owner sent a bottle of Azul to my table. "Do you know who I am?" I screamed. I didn't even know who I was anymore. I was posting pictures every hour. Me holding a stack of dollars. Me with the caption, "God's grace is sufficient." The comments poured in. "Step on us, we are your carpet." "Soft life." "Godwin." By the 8th man, the haunting began. It started small. I would walk into my penthouse apartment in Ikoyi, marble floors, AC humming at 16 degrees, and I would smell it. Smoke. The smell of the roasting corn I used to sell. It clung to the curtains. It clung to my expensive wigs. I would scrub my skin with exfoliating salts from Dubai until I bled, but the smell wouldn't leave. Then came the dreams. I dreamt of fire. I stood in the center of a burning market, but the people burning weren't strangers. They were the men. The chairman barking, the hotel owner weeping over pebbles, the politician clawing at his boiling skin. They weren't screaming in pain. They were laughing. I woke up screaming, my silk sheets soaked in sweat. I ran to the bathroom mirror to splash water on my face. I froze. My reflection was there, but behind me, in the corner of the pristine white bathroom, a shadow stood. It had no face, just a dark swirling mass. But I knew who it was. It was the 7th man, the oil tycoon who had driven his G-Wagon off the 3rd Milan Bridge the day after we met. He was dripping wet, pond water pooled on my Italian tiles. "Get out!" I screamed, throwing a bottle of Chanel perfume at the mirror. The bottle shattered. The shadow didn't move. It just watched. By the time I reached the 11th man, I was a walking corpse. He was a senator in Abuja, a man so powerful he had soldiers guarding his bathroom. But soldiers can't stop a woman with a cursed vagina. I did the deed. I made the switch. I took his destiny. As I left his mansion, my phone buzzed. Another alert. 50 million naira. No joy, no rush. Just a heavy, suffocating dread. I looked at my hands. For a second, the manicure flickered, and I saw charcoal stains. I blinked, and they were gone. I couldn't do the 12th. I couldn't. I flew back to the village the next morning. I didn't take my G-Wagon. I took a taxi. I ran through the bush path, tearing my expensive lace dress on the thorns. "Baba!" I screamed, bursting into the shrine. "Baba, help me!" Baba Ruji was grinding something in a mortar. "I can't do it," I sobbed, falling to my knees. "They are following me. I see them. I hear them. The 11th man, he was standing by my bed last night." Baba didn't stop grinding. "Kush, kush. Please," I begged. "Take the money back. Take the beauty. Make me ugly again. Just make them stop." Baba stopped. He looked up. His milky eyes bore into my soul. "You think power is free?" he asked softly. "You think you can eat the meat and spit out the bone? I don't want it anymore." "It is too late," Baba said. He pointed a crooked finger at the pouch in my hand. There was only one red-threaded condom left. "The spirits are hungry, Ireiti. They have tasted 11. If you do not give them the 12th." He leaned forward, the shadows of the hut making his face look like a skull. "They will eat you instead." I scrambled back, clutching the pouch. "No! Finish what you started," Baba hissed. "The 12th man will bring you the crown, or he will be your coffin." I left the shrine stumbling, tears ruining my makeup. I had no choice. I had to find him, the biggest of them all. I opened my phone. I scrolled through the contacts I had gathered in my rise. One name stood out. A man who owned half of Lagos. A man whose weakness was women with bodies that defied logic. Chief Clement Akono. I wiped my tears. I fixed my wig. One more, just one more, and I would be free.
If you enjoy African stories, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell button so that you'd be notified whenever we post.